For all the hype around AI right now, it's easy to believe one thing, that these systems are getting close to knowing everything. They can write, code, summarize, generate ideas, hold conversations. From the outside, it feels like we're approaching a point where AI can do almost anything. But behind that impression, there's a different reality. Today's AI models have real limits, important limits. And most people don't talk about them, not because they're hidden, but because they're easy to overlook when the results look impressive. So if you really want to understand where AI is going next, you have to understand where it struggles today. The first limitation is understanding. AI doesn't actually understand things the way humans do. It predicts, that's it. Every response you see is based on patterns learned from massive amounts of data. The system looks at your input and generates what it believes is the most likely or most useful output. It can sound intelligent, it can feel insightful. But underneath, it's not reasoning in the way people assume. This becomes obvious in edge cases. Ask something slightly unusual, slightly ambiguous, or outside common patterns, and the cracks start to show. The AI may sound confident, but the answer can be incomplete, inconsistent, or just wrong. And that's the key issue. Confidence doesn't equal correctness. The second limitation is reliability. AI models are not perfectly consistent. You can ask the same question twice and get slightly different answers. You can phrase something differently and get a completely different response. That variability is built into how these systems work. They're probabilistic, not deterministic. And while that flexibility makes them creative, it also makes them unpredictable. In high-stakes environments like medicine, law, or finance, that unpredictability becomes a serious challenge. Because usually correct isn't good enough when the cost of being wrong is high. The third limitation is context. AI can handle context within a conversation, but it's still limited. Long discussions, complex workflows, or situations that require deep, persistent memory can break down over time. Important details can get lost. Nuances can fade. And outside of a single session, most systems don't truly remember you in a meaningful way unless they're specifically designed to. So while AI feels conversational, it's not continuously aware in the way humans are. Each interaction is more isolated than it appears. The fourth limitation is real-world grounding. AI models are trained on data, not experience. They haven't lived in the world. They haven't physically interacted with anything. They don't have sensory understanding. So while they can describe how something works, they don't truly know it in a practical sense. This shows up in subtle ways. They may struggle with tasks that require physical intuition, real-world constraints, or hands-on understanding. They can explain how to do something, but not always anticipate real-world complications. Because they're not grounded in reality, they're grounded in data. The fifth limitation is data dependency. AI is only as good as the data it was trained on. If the data is incomplete, outdated, or biased, the model reflects that. It doesn't independently verify truth. It doesn't go out and gather new information in real time unless it's connected to external systems. So there's always a gap between what the model knows and what's actually happening right now. And in fast-changing environments, that gap matters. The sixth limitation is reasoning depth. AI can simulate reasoning. It can break down problems, follow steps, and produce logical-looking outputs. But deep reasoning, especially across multiple steps, with uncertainty, trade-offs, and long-term consequences, is still a challenge. Complex decision-making often requires more than pattern recognition. It requires judgment, and that's something current systems don't fully replicate. They can assist with decisions, but they're not yet reliable decision-makers on their own. The seventh limitation is control. Once an AI system generates an output, it doesn't always have a built-in sense of boundaries beyond what it was trained or instructed to follow. That's why guardrails, prompts, and system design matter so much. Without them, outputs can drift. They can become less accurate, less relevant, or less aligned with what's needed. So while AI feels autonomous, it still requires careful structure and oversight. And that leads to a broader point. AI today is powerful, but it's not independent. It works best when guided, supervised, and integrated into systems that provide context and constraints. The eighth limitation is scalability in real-world use. It's one thing for AI to perform well in controlled environments. It's another to deploy it across millions of users, different use cases, and unpredictable scenarios. At scale, small issues become big problems. Inconsistencies become noticeable, edge cases become frequent, and maintaining quality becomes much harder. That's why many companies are still cautious about fully automating critical processes with AI, because scaling intelligence is harder than demonstrating it. But here's what makes all of this interesting. None of these limitations mean AI isn't useful. In fact, it's incredibly useful. But it changes how it should be used. Instead of replacing humans entirely, AI works best as a collaborator, a tool that enhances productivity, speeds up tasks, and provides insights, but still operates within a human-guided system. And this is where many misunderstand the current moment. We're not at the end of AI development. We're at a transition point. The systems we have today are powerful but incomplete, capable but not fully reliable, impressive but not fully understood. And the next phase of innovation will be about addressing these exact limitations, improving reliability, enhancing reasoning, building better context awareness, creating stronger integration with the real world. Because solving these problems is what will define the next generation of AI. So while it's easy to focus on what AI can do, it's just as important to understand what it can't. Because those limitations aren't just weaknesses, they're the roadmap for what comes next. And the companies that solve them won't just improve AI, they'll redefine what it's capable of entirely.